Today on the program, we will continue our conversation on inflation and tax revenue, which we started yesterday. And our guest remains Mr. Edwin Nwoko, managing partner Nwoko, Edwin & Co., Chartered Accountants. We're glad to have you again on Business Express.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, well, to continue the conversation, I believe you must have been following developments on the work of the Presidential Committee on Tax Reform and Fiscal Policy. What can you tell us so far about their recommendations, they've submitted to the President so far, which I believe is targeted towards improving the country's tax system?
The committee has actually come up with some recommendations sent to the President, and they are awaiting approvals. On the immediate gains, they have come up with the idea of reducing the number of taxes in the country. Like we did say, you have a situation where we have over 60 types of taxes in the country along the federal, state, and local government tax jurisdictions, and this has been a serious issue to the business community. So what the committee has done is to reduce these taxes to 8 of them. You have the income tax, you have the VAT, property, custom duties, you have excise levy, you have what is now called the harmonized tax and the special levy. These things have been sent to the President, and what this means is that when this is eventually approved, it will go a long way in tackling the issue of multiple taxation in the country. Then they have also come up with the issue of looking at incentives on how to encourage the taxpayers, encourage companies. They have also come up with policies that border on tax compliance. What it means now is that they intend to digitize our tax system so that taxpayers will be able to, wherever they are, pay their taxes with minimum human interface. What we currently have is a situation where taxpayers have to go to tax offices, present physical papers, and go through some difficult examination processes. These things impact on their operations, impact on their finances. So, but the committee has come up with the idea of digitizing the country's tax processes. Apart from that, you have incentives that have to do...
Do you see these recommendations addressing some of the challenges we have?
Definitely, that is very correct, because like I did say earlier, let's look at the issue of multiple taxation in the country. You have a situation where taxpayers, especially if you go to some local governments, they have to pay an upward of 20, 30 types of taxes in different states of the country. But where this is eventually implemented and taxes are harmonized, what this means is that the number of taxes to be paid by a taxpayer will eventually not exceed 8. And what it will also help to do is that we are going to be seeing more collections for the government. At the state level, we have had complaints of them not getting fair share of what is due to them, and that has been a reason for so much pressure on their administration. So, but with implementations, once these approvals are made and the President eventually assents to this and gives approval to them, we are going to see the states having more collections. It will reduce the pressure on the government.
Okay, just recently, I understand the direction we're going, but just recently, the chairman of the Committee on Tax Reform and Fiscal Policy said that he observed that tax packaged water companies pay a kind of duty, or about 7 duty or taxes for a day. How do you see that? How can we really get to really address this? Because most of these businesses are going into, people are going into businesses to make gains and things like that. When a large chunk is taken from them, how does it actually affect investor confidence in this situation?
It is a serious situation. It is actually a serious situation because these taxpayers have to spend a lot of their money that would have gone into the production of more goods and render more services to pay these taxes. Don't forget that some of these taxes are actually not official. They are you see non-state actors coming up with unofficial taxes and putting pressure on the taxpayers.
And how do we address the issue of non-state actors?
Now, what the government has to do is, first of all, we have to look at the issue of enforcement. Over the years, we have complained seriously that there seems to be lack of the willpower to implement different aspects of our tax laws. So the government will have to look at enforcement. The government will have to look at, the willpower should come, and the government has to look at empowering the tax administrator, I'm talking about FIRS and the other arms of tax authorities, to critically examine the existing tax laws and make sure that what is not in the approved list of taxes is not executed. These taxes should be limited to approved. There's what we call approved list of taxes in our tax law, and they shouldn't go outside this. That's a primary cause of concern. If you go to the, like I did say earlier, you go to the local government area, you see them coming up with different taxes that are not even in the approved list of taxes. So one way to go about this is to look at our tax laws and then carry out, like the reform is coming up with, carry out changes here and there, make amendment. They have to amend our constitution, that relevant section that has to do with our taxes, make amendments to it so that what is to be paid as a tax should be known to these taxpayers. You see, at the local government level, for example, most of these taxpayers don't even get to know what they are supposed to pay. There's lack of awareness. That's another issue. So the government has to carry out awareness.
FIRS has to do more on, public awareness on this issue.
There should be public awareness, taxpayer education should be carried out.
Okay. Then the issue of inflation. Inflation is a significant challenge. We've seen that. Then we've seen recently the president decided to issue out executive order to somehow suspend import duties on certain goods, most especially staple food, and which paddy rice is one of it. Don't you think this will actually affect the tax, the ongoing effort to improve tax into the country? Because we are talking about suspension for 6 months. That means import duties on these certain goods will not come, to the government. They will have to wait after 6 months. Doesn't that affect the efforts to improve tax in the country?
If we are looking at the revenue that will accrue to the government, that is one thing. Another thing we have to be looking at is the impact on the citizens. Right now, the prices of goods and services have skyrocketed. We have high level of inflation in the country. So what the government has done is to actually suspend these things so that the prices can come down, such that these goods, services become affordable to the citizens. We are all aware of what is happening in some countries right now where you have serious level of riots. I'm sure that government does not want such a situation in our hands. So yes, we may have to experience some level of reduction in revenue generation, but on the other hand, it will positively help citizens to be able to afford at least the basic items that they need for survival. I think that is what we have to be looking at right now.
Okay, and to extend this, we've seen a lot of companies exit in Nigeria. Should tax be used as an incentive to actually discourage that? Do you see do you see tax as a solution to this?
There is a serious nexus between tax and inflation.
Okay.
Why are they leaving the country in the first place? The cost of business has gone up. Cost of operation has gone seriously up. But you see, one thing that tax does is to help us redistribute wealth, redistribute income and all that. So we believe that when these reforms actually take place, the prices of goods will definitely come down because, take for example, those at the informal sector who contribute significantly to the national pool. Some of them close up shops within 3 to 4 years, okay, because of the difficulty of in our environment. But with the reforms that we're going to have in a short while, what will happen is that these people will have more money at their disposal to be able to produce more goods and services. And so that will contribute significantly to our economy. The companies that are living in Nigeria, because the prices of things are high, cost of operation is high. Take, for example, the cost of power in Nigeria, that has become an issue. So, but we believe that with the reforms that will come in a while, once the government makes some changes that impact on the prices of goods and services, these companies will be able to produce more, which will eventually drag down the prices of those goods.
Okay, Mr. Nwoko, before I let you go, based on your assessment from the reforms you've seen, what can you tell us about achieving 18% tax to GDP within 3 years?
It is something that is very possible. As at today, the tax to GDP ratio is 10.8%. But if the companies in Nigeria are able to produce more, we have more import. We are able to export more of our produce and produce more of what we can even consume in this country. There will be more contribution. The tax to GDP ratio will increase because more companies will pay taxes. They will have more money to be able to pay their taxes. And of course, once there is significant level of compliance in the country, because from the reforms that are ongoing, we expect that there will be improvement in compliance level. And once that happens, there will be more collections by the government, and that will impact significantly on our tax to GDP ratio.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that that happens. Thank you very much, Edwin Nwoko. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.